Live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
But as far as immigration is concerned, my position never wavered. I have always taken the position that I'm not for a comprehensive amnesty bill. I've always said that we ought to deal with the kids who did not break any laws of their and themselves came into this country in many cases unbeknownst to them. I've always said that, and it's a principled position, and it's one I think that offers the only plausible way forward.
All right, folks, there you go. Eric Cantor. They were still talking about him on the Sunday shows yesterday in his stunning defeat in the primary on Tuesday of last week. Joining us now is Congressman Pete Sessions, Republican from the great state of Texas, chairman of the House Rules Committee and member of the Republican Study Committee. Congressman, welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you very much, Steve. Hope you're doing well today. Big day for Newsmax.
Yes, indeed, and thank you for being a part of it. We really do appreciate it. Okay, let's first of all, before we get to why Eric Cantor might have lost, etc., there was talk that you were going to throw your name into the race for House Majority Leader to replace Congressman Cantor once he announced he was resigning effective the end of July. Why did you decide not to, sir?
Well, in fact, you're absolutely correct. I not only made sure that my colleagues knew that I was interested, but I signaled that same thing first, and it's always important to your own delegation. And upon signaling that to my delegation, one of my dear friends and colleagues, Jeb Henserling, chairman of the Financial Services Committee, also from Dallas, indicated he was also interested in that. It took us about 36 hours, maybe slightly more, to figure that out. And in these kinds of races where there is a huge vacuum when two people compete against each other, generally for some of the same support, it just became very, very difficult to move forward. And it took us a good bit of time to work through that. As it turned out, Jeb indicated that he was not prepared or ready to do that. It chose not to. And by that time, a number of factors came into play. One of them was it became very apparent by then that I would have to run what I consider to be an intolerable attack against parts of my party, parts of my colleagues, and I'm for unity. I am for us coming together to where we have what I believe is not seamless, but a far tighter, well understood agenda of what we stand for, and to have our team work together. So I said from the very beginning I would run if it's something that we could win and unify our party, not run and tear our party apart. And so there will be future opportunities, and that's what I'll look forward to.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that Congressman Labrador is an adequate, not substitute, but an adequate candidate that offers an adequate alternative along the lines of what you might have offered?
You know, here's what I would think. We're all slightly different members, the things we think and see. Raul comes from this from a perspective where he believes that we must start with a conservative agenda. I agree with that. I expressed where I was. He said he would be for me if I had run. I made a determined not to. He and I are far closer together on seeing that if we're going to win as a party, we have to have an agenda that the vast part of our conservative Republican support understands. I think he'll be able to enunciate that. He is well understood. He's in the media all the time, and I think he will have a succinct, clear message for our members to understand where he stands.
Well, but in all fairness and with all due respect, why do you believe he'd be able to run that campaign that you wouldn't be able to run? In other words, you said it would be divisive and you'd have to attack a portion of the party. Can he succeed without doing that, in your view?
Well, now you talk. Succeeding and winning are two different things. And I was trying to win the race, not come and make points so that our base understood who I was and where I was. I don't know that I'm not going to say he cannot win, but what I would say is that much like where I was, he is a later entrant, and he's going to have to go and run hard and run well. I think he can make the argument. I was running to win. I was running to win on very specific points. Number one, that I believe we absolutely must focus our attention on gaining the administration to understand they have to protect our border. We have drug cartels that are on our borders. We are overrun with thousands, tens of thousands of young people, children who are coming to this country. This administration is complicitous with, I believe, this child trafficking issue. And I believe that we must solve and aim at that problem, not singularly, but we must get that done quickly. That would have been a major focus. Secondly, for us to get on the same page as a conference, every single one of us. That Raul has his own ideas. I think that, once again, it's up to him to go place those. I had my ideas, and he'll have his. I'm simply saying he's a very talented, conservative, thoughtful young man. We both share commonalities. We're Eagle Scouts. So we see we're telling the truth and being honest about where our country is very important.
So you'll be voting for him as opposed to Congressman McCarthy, I would presume.
What I will tell you is that our views are very similar on how to approach us getting together as a conference.
What if Congressman McCarthy becomes the majority leader? Is he not very similar in philosophy to Eric Cantor? And might that not go a long way towards your desired goal of unity and recognition of the principles that you believe in?
Well, first of all, I think we need to find out where Kevin is going to come from. I believe that Kevin comes from a district where he well gets the issue. The problem is how we're going to solve that and what order we go in and how we get things done. And I have probably no reason to believe that he's much different from Eric Cantor, but we will see. We'll let Kevin enunciate his own ideas as majority leader. What I would tell you is that if we do not solve this problem now, our country, notwithstanding Texas, but the entire border will be far, far more entwined in a drug cartel culture rather than a free America where its citizens feel like that they have the federal government standing behind them, and the federal government needs to stand behind the people for our own sovereignty. And it's a big issue.
Absolutely. And you touched on one of them, and I think it's right now it supersedes all the others regarding immigration, and that's what they're doing with the Central American children. Bringing them here and you know, in droves and leaving them here under the assumption that they're going to be okay and they're going to become Americans and live here happily ever after and then eventually reunited with their parents somehow. Do you feel it's incumbent upon the President of the United States to stand up and take to a microphone and say, look, don't send your kids here because it's not safe. There's disease in these camps. There's all kinds of questionable things. And plus, they're not going to be admitted to this country and become citizens. That's not a sure thing.
Well, it is not. In fact, any plan that would pass any plan, and there are a lot of people that say any plan would be amnesty, and I would simply say I disagree with that assertion, but any plan that would involve whether it be farm workers or others, up to even, I believe, high-tech workers, would not be a pathway to citizenship, would not be about government benefits. It would be a guest worker plan that other very civilized nations all around the world have. It's well understood, and we must not give the perception that we are going to offer any plan but follow the law that we have today. And yes, I believe the Attorney General, I believe the President of the United States, and I believe the Secretary of Homeland Security, as well as the Secretary of State, must stand up to these other countries and to parents around the world and say, please, do not put your 4- and 5-year-old, your 9-year-old, into a circumstance where you cannot control their safety and what they're doing. We should not assume the parenting responsibilities, nor even think that we would merge them up with their parents, because otherwise we will open our borders up to millions of people. That is not the intent of this country, nor that we have the will to perform by its people, nor the votes in Congress. And I believe it is an unfair and I believe it's untruthful to pass this along. So we need to do this immediately today. That's what I would have done as majority leader, effective as Thursday. And I hope that someone will have the same, with some bit of authority, will have the same bit of viewpoint about us addressing our border properly today.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. Very insightful, and good luck to you, sir.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Congressman Pete Sessions, ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of the House Rules Committee, member of the Republican Study Committee, and a lot of people were disappointed when he withdrew his name from consideration for replacing Eric Cantor as Majority Leader. We'll see where that goes. Interesting, he did not commit to vote for Congressman Labrador. He said he also did not know exactly what Congressman Kevin McCarthy would run on, what his views would be and his promises would be. So in my view, he kind of left open the idea of voting for McCarthy, even though he said he's very like-minded to Labrador. All right, folks, we're coming back with Gimme 5. Don't go away.